Hi everybody, welcome to TNT, and thank you very much to Michael for this fabulous shirt. Michael, one of my guests, and his lovely wife, driven down all the way from Phang. Apparently they found this at a service station. And thank you for all the lovely birthday wishes. Don't fill up the comments section with birthday wishes. Let's talk about the news. Let's talk about the stories. Quite a mixed bag today, starting here. NBTC OK's biometric SIM registration. This is just a current symptom of the ID crackdown situation here in Thailand, and the board of the NBTC approved yesterday the draft of a new SIM card registration system and the collection of mobile users' data through a biometric system. It requires all mobile operators to process the SIM card registration via a liveness detection technology. I figure that means they're going to scan your face and ask you to sort of blink your eyes and turn to the left and all that sort of stuff. And the requirement's expected to take effect in 180 days. The new rules are to prevent malicious registrations, such as using other people's photos, editing other people's photos from clips, or using photos taken from outdated images. And they've also defined some details for vulnerable groups who may not be ready for the new registration method, such as disabled or the elderly. And the NBTC chairman says the move is to enforce stricter measures to tackle rampant online fraud and call centre gangs, and they expect the cooperation from all mobile operators, as the draft and biometric system would directly reduce Mule accounts. Some would say a move in the right direction. Other people will be expressing privacy concerns, but clearly Thailand does need to crack down. A lot of these SIM cards just given out willy-nilly at the airports. Well, I think those days are over, and we are going to see more crackdowns, and it's going to be harder to get and register a SIM card here in Thailand. Now, a lot of news about scams at the moment. People coming across the Thai border, being released on just virtually an hourly basis from some of these scam centres around the border areas. Just in one publication, this is from Thai PBS World, BGF troops raid Shui Koko Township, about 1,000 people detained. Battered Myanmar scam centre workers wait for deportation to China. And stories like this from the Bangkok Post: Myanmar scam centre survivors recall torture and coercion. Now, there are some fairly horrific bits and pieces online showing the horrific torture and treatment of some of the people who were working in these scam centres. Let's go to this story. And inside a Thai military camp, 4 Ethiopian men yesterday showed the bruises and scars on their bodies they said were sustained during their time in one of Myanmar's most notorious scam compounds. A 19-year-old said, I got a lot of punishments. I received electric shocks every day. And for years, according to the UN, criminal gangs have trafficked hundreds of thousands of people to scam compounds across Southeast Asia, including along the Thai-Myanmar frontier, where victims have been forced to work in illegal online operations. But Thai authorities launched their first serious crackdown last month after the abduction of a Chinese actor. And around 7,000 people rescued from scam compounds in Myanmar are waiting to be transferred to Thailand, according to the Thai PM. And some of those rescued from the scam compound say they were forced to work nearly 20 hours each day to defraud men using instant messaging applications. And a 21-year-old from Bangladesh said, when a client says, I love you, then we start washing his brain how to get money. And he claimed, we're not scammers, we're victims. Accounts from 4 men currently now in Thailand awaiting repatriation. Now, we should also acknowledge that there are some people, maybe even a lot of people, who were working in these scam centres voluntarily and doing it eagerly to try and make, well, a lot of money. But there are also a lot of victims, as, mostly the Thai government and also the Chinese government trying to work out who are the goodies and who are the baddies in this mess. Acknowledging 5-Star Marine at 5starmarinephuket.com if you'd like to head out onto Pattaya Bay for a private charter tour. Now, in the wake of the release of the first episode of The White Lotus, filmed here in Thailand, well, around this area, Apparently, the phones have been ringing off the hook, people trying to book tours. I think at the moment they're just fully booked out, but certainly plenty of space is opening up in the future. Now, just speaking of scams, there's a bit more sort of follow through and a very dynamic story that's changing sort of by the hour. We go to Thai PBS World. Taiwan names Thailand as high-risk scamming destination. And they've named Thailand as one of 5 Southeast Asian destinations where their citizens are at risk of falling victim to online scammers. The other 4 countries, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar and Cambodia. And the Interior Ministry also referred to reports of some Taiwanese being duped into working in call centres in Myanmar and Cambodia, and that 7 Taiwanese nationals were among 260 foreigners transferred to Thailand from Myanmar last week. Now, these sort of actions by foreign governments do have a big impact on Thailand, and I think is one of the reasons that there's been so much action taken so urgently. And we go to this paragraph. And meanwhile, the Thailand Trade and Economic Office emphasised that the safety of 35 million foreign tourists is of vital importance to the government, which has implemented measures to cut electricity and fuel supplies to Myanmar's border towns to crack down on scam centres. All this acknowledged as one of the, possible headwinds to Thailand's lucrative tourism industry, and we'll get a bit more into that later. And wow, we're seeing snow on some of Thailand's beaches. Just check that out. Obviously some very clever AI. There'd be no time in the last 10,000 years where snow would have fallen on any of Thailand's beaches. But we do have some real weather on the radar. Isolated thunder showers for most of Thailand. Several provinces in the upper part of Thailand will experience isolated thunder showers, gusty winds and lightning strikes. These conditions are due to the southerly and southeasterly winds, bringing moisture from the South China Sea and Gulf of Thailand to the upper country. And the moderate northeast monsoon over the Gulf and the south will bring thunderstorms to the south. Well, it's all a bit blah, blah, blah until we go to the actual map. And as we have a look there, a bit of moisture around the northern part of the Gulf of Thailand. Otherwise, not that much rain early. But let's project to 10 o'clock tonight and we can see that there will be a bit more rain down in this part of the world. But most of the northern part of Thailand, relatively clear despite the forecast. But apart from the general weather patterns that we get around the country, there are also little seasonal differences. Like I note here over the past week, we've had a lot of pollen coming out of the casuarina trees. And with the afternoon sea breeze, it's blowing straight into the house and everything covered by the pollen. Up in Pattaya, they've got their own problems. Pattaya City deploys 5 trucks to collect unprecedented amounts of seaweed at Crackdown Beach. And Pattaya City officials have deployed 5 trucks to collect seaweed that's been washed ashore. The large amounts of seaweed causing rot and odour have distressed local residents. And over 35 officers from 3 districts were collaborating in the effort. And an officer mentioned to the Pattaya News that while seaweed typically floats ashore every year, the amounts are usually small. But since COVID, seaweed presence has been minimal until this year, when record amounts have been observed, estimated to exceed tens of tonnes. And the continuous collection efforts are expected to resolve the issue within a few days. Well, let's hope they get that cleaned up quickly. Probably a bit unsightly, a bit on the nose, but it's not really going to hurt anyone. Now, going back to the things that might be a hiccup to Thailand's economy this year, we go to this analysis from Bangkok Post. Trump tariffs put tourism on edge. An uncertainty over the Chinese market and the effect of US President Donald Trump's policies are the most critical factors for the tourism industry in the first half, as airlines and hoteliers consider market trends. Fuel prices, which typically make up a large portion of travel costs, have been monitored this year as new trade tariffs from Trump are expected to impact global oil prices. And the executive chairman of Asia Aviation said fuel prices would be the most crucial factor for the aviation industry to watch in the new round of trade wars. Currently, low fuel prices benefit airlines as the oil supply in the global market is expected to be overwhelmed due to Trump's energy policy, which favours fossil fuels over green and sustainable energy. Meanwhile, the president of the Thai Hotels Association said internet bookings and the visa-free program have made the situation more unpredictable, particularly for the Chinese market. And although the outlook for tourism during the high season is promising, the real test will come in the low season when there's no festivals like Chinese New Year to stimulate the market. Well, currently in the back end of this year's high season, we'll be entering low season traditionally after Songkran, which is in the second week of April. And he said, given the large volume of the Chinese market, its fluctuations have a significant impact on Thailand's tourism industry. While other markets may experience growth, their smaller scale cannot create the same substantial difference as the Chinese market. The general thrust of the second half of that article suggesting that Thailand has lost a bit of its gloss to the Chinese tourists, and of course the Thais now scrambling to get that reputation back again. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand today. Please subscribe to the channel as we are that close to 40,000 subscribers. Appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.